Peace and blessings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Veterans Arts on Air. I am your host, Melvin A. Lyons, and today's co-host is the new executive director of the National Veterans Arts Museum, Brendan Foster. So we'll get a chance to speak with him a little bit later and do some interview stuff, but as always, we'll jump right into it. You ready?
All right, go for it.
All righty. So, unfortunately, we were not able to be with you all last month due to some unfortunate family incidents. However, we are back, and we're going to take our recap back a little bit further to our celebration of Women's History Month. And one of the first things that we got for Women's History Month is that the National Veterans Arts Museum made its way into the news. Right. So here we have a copy of the Stars and Stripes, as well as a feature that was done on Fox 32. The National Veterans Arts Museum highlighted its newest artist, Karen Rodney Hoppala, by exhibiting her artwork as well as creating an online post about her biography and an art analysis of her work. The online posts include clips from an in-depth interview that was conducted with Rodney Hoppala. She also, during that time, MVAM hosted the Women's Business Development Center event on March 25th. The event accessed the resources available for female veterans to start businesses, further their education, and to address other social needs. MVAM hosted the Women's Empowerment event at the Bank of America on March 15th. And to go along with that, I have a brief video that we will show you all from that particular event. So, here we go.
I went down to San Antonio for a basic training graduation, and what I saw there was sort of rows of intelligent, smart, capable, fit, feminine women marching around. And I thought to myself, that actually looks like fun, I think. I was, a mediocre three-sport athlete in high school, and I liked discipline and I liked order, and to me that seemed like maybe it was a viable option. I was supposed to swear in on September 10th, 2001. And they were rescheduling my appointment. They said, "Can you come back on Thursday?" And I said, "No problem. They're just down the road." So I went home. The next morning was September 11th. And I woke up that morning, and it was like everything changed in an instant for so many people. And in many people, it changed much more terrible ways than I could even imagine. And I think in those moments, I had the fleeting thoughts that I didn't have to swear in. I didn't have to finish the deal. But in my heart, I knew that when my grandfather heard about Pearl Harbor, the first thing he did was run down the street to the nearest Marine Corps recruiting unit and swear in. And I knew that was not an honorable thing to do, to back away at the first sign of trouble. So I swore in on September 13th, and nothing really changed, really for 2 years. So I ended up deploying in 2004, and again in 2006, and again in 2008. And I did very short deployments, and my deployments, relatively speaking, were fairly safe, and they were not that traumatic, they were not that dangerous. We did a lot of work while I was deployed. We saw a lot of incoming mortars and that sort of thing. It was a very distant sort of game of cat and mouse. I wasn't outside the wire doing foot patrols. But I think, I was prepared for my deployments and the challenges that would come with them. Although I wasn't the first time I deployed, it was the first time I'd ever seen a live weapon. So I'd never seen a live munition before I was actually deployed, trying to hook it up to my truck on a trailer. So that was a little bit of a stressful situation when you only work with cement bombs, and then all of a sudden you have to weigh 2,000 pounds staring you in the face. It becomes a very different level of attention to detail.
It's up to you.
No deployment coming home was going to be difficult. I came home in 2005 on a Thursday or Friday, and that Monday I started classes for the spring semester. And I didn't want to miss more school. I'd already fallen behind. And so I showed up for class on that Monday. And really just tried to make a really tight turnaround to fit back in. And, little by little, things kind of caught up, all the rushing to try to get back to normal life, I started to feel pretty alienated from, people I considered my friends before, from my classmates. And then I was also kind of struggling with my benefits because now I was technically a veteran, whereas before I wasn't. So I had all these benefits I was trying to figure out. The military, it's interesting. Like, my deployments in the military have shaped my entire life. It's entered like every fiber of my being. And in ways I didn't really expect. And I think other veterans, even if they didn't primarily identify themselves as a veteran, I think that they would also agree that their military experience taught them lessons and helped shape them in ways that they didn't anticipate.
Okay, so again, the lady being interviewed there was Elizabeth O'Haron, who was one of the models for the 100 Faces of War, which is showing currently at the National Veterans Arts Museum. Also, we had March 26th through March 29th, art making workshops at the Children's History Museum. The National Veterans Arts Museum participated in a week-long workshop entitled Tell Me Something I Didn't Know. Inspired by the 100 Faces of War exhibit, children participated in an hour-long art-making workshop. Also, coming up April 11th, Slow Art Day. Everyone is invited to join us out for an arts appreciation and reflection from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's an opportunity to really take the time to see the artwork and engage with it and its concepts. We will spend the first hour slowly analyzing 5 selected pieces of art from our permanent collection, and then we'll spend about the second hour discussing the pieces over lunch. Food will not be provided, however, so participants are encouraged to bring a bag lunch. Also coming up April 18th, the Creative Community event. For this month, we will have a painting workshop led by Maurice Costello. He will discuss his art making practice and share insight into several of his paintings on display at the museum. Participants in the workshop will create their own work of art using painting techniques introduced by Costello and used in his ongoing series of portraits. Space is limited, so please RSVP by either emailing us at education@nvam.org or giving us a call at 312-326-0270. Also, while we're talking about giving us a call, please feel free to call in and talk to us while we are on the air here tonight. Moving on a little bit further, After School Matters spring term will be ending on May 2nd. Culminating with the showcase of their work. So stop by May 2nd from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. and see the work that the students have come up with over that time. And finally, in our upcoming news, we are having our upcoming fundraiser at Lagunitas Brewing Company in Chicago. It will take place on Tuesday, April 7th from 5:30 to 8:30. Please feel free to contact us at the museum for further details. And with that being said, this is one of my personal favorites. We get a chance to sit back and talk with our guest for the evening. So our guest today, again, is Brendan Foster, who is the new executive director of the National Veterans Arts Museum, who earned his master's degree of business administration a master's of business administration and a master's of nonprofit administration from North Park University. His previous positions before joining NVAM include Chief Operating Officer at Albany Park Community Center, Associate Vice President at Family Guidance Center, and was a 3-term member of the Lincoln Park Community Shelter Board of Directors, where he volunteered since 1998. He joined the NVAM family in February of this year and also serves as a faculty member at North Park University. Wow.
That's what I do.
That's a whole lot of stuff. So, as always, thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you.
So, Great pleasure.
My pleasure.
Now, this is the second time that I've had an executive director of the museum here on the show. The first time was full of surprises, but this time we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So,
All right.
I wanted to, my first question is obviously, what got you interested in going to school to get a degree in nonprofit administration?
Well, I had some personal transformational experiences helping people in the nonprofit sector. Before I even moved to Chicago in the late 90s, I lived overseas in Ireland and worked with homeless people there, and that was very transformational. I said, this is what I want to do. I want to help people. I want to be a part of changing people's lives. And from that point, I became what I call, I'm a nonprofit lifer. This is what I want to do. This is my passion. This is where I want to be.
All right. Well, speaking as someone who's worked in non-for-profits for about 12 years myself, it is something definitely about it that draws you in. It makes it hard to get away.
Indeed.
Even when you try, there's something about it. So you've done all of the nonprofit work. You had your thing. So you moved to Chicago here in the 90s. So what is it about this city that I guess keeps you here?
There's activity going on, and this time of year particularly is terrific because the winters, you can really feel winter's over and people come out of hibernation, and it's exciting. There's the social scene's exciting, the art scene's exciting. It's a world-class city that has a lot going on, and I love being a part of it.
Okay. Now, during the last executive director's tenure, we saw the museum move from its South Loop location up to the Portage Park area where it is now. So I guess my question for you is, what are some of the things that we can look forward to during your term, or what are some of the things you see yourself doing during your term here?
Yeah, well, I guess let's go back. I've only been here a month, so let's go back a month to when I started and was in conversations with the board about starting. At that point, it was the thing that really came to my mind was opportunity. When you see National Veterans Art Museum, you see that it's a national museum. It's for veterans, which is a tremendous part of our population. Art, which is globally, it's a great thing, and being a museum, I think you can have an impact on the community. So, opportunity is what came to mind when I was interviewing for the role, and so these opportunities that I see are more ways to connect with the community. You're going to see us out in the community locally, regionally, and nationally. I think you're going to see more exhibits like we have today, which are our 100 Faces of War, which in my opinion, I think in most opinions, is a world-class exhibit. So we're going to get really, really tremendous veteran art that starts the conversations that we feel we need to have. These conversations about veterans and what they are going through, what they're experiencing, what they need society to know. So that's what you're going to see a lot of, and we're going to talk about education. We're going to really enhance our educational programming because that is the connection between the veterans, the art that they create, and the community, the general population who comes in to see. We're gonna educate them in a lot of different ways.
All right, sounds good. Before we move on to my last couple of questions, we have a caller. Joe, how are you?
Hey, man. I have a question, okay? It seems like the majority of nonprofits, it seems to be always drug-related, but there's people out here that have other issues, that have a need to be taken care of other than something that's drug-related. And I seen like there's people that need help or need some type of assistance. There's a market out there in terms of nonprofit that's not being met.
Okay. Well, again, I thank you for your call. And I guess my first thought with that would be, you are right. In a lot of our inner cities, especially, you will see a lot of not-for-profits that deals directly with drugs and those types of issues. However, from my personal experience, most of the not-for-profits that I have worked in have been more along the lines of education through the museums and things of that nature. So
good form.
I will say
because
that
when you look over here on the south side, that's all what it seemed to be is drug related. I'm not saying it's not needed, but we need nonprofits that perform other services besides drug related type issues. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no, I agree with you 100%. In any situation, I definitely think that our not-for-profits need to be a little bit of. All right, looks like we're having some technical difficulties over here in the corner.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Well,
Okay.
you know, the nonprofits.
So I can do this all day.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
The nonprofit sector is a broad sector, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's you know, they serve the needs of the community, and you know, maybe you know, look around, and they may not be right out your front door, but they're around. You know, nonprofits, it's a very, very broad sector, and you'd be surprised at, you know, what's maybe down the street or you know, in the next couple blocks. But
Absolutely.
yeah.
My introduction to the nonprofit world came from a local history museum,
Yeah.
which was a lot of fun working in, but I think I made a conscious decision long ago that, you know, making a lot of money was not going to be in the card.
Right.
But as long as, you know, I could help the people and always give back to the community, you know, the material things were never a big issue with me anyway. So, but anyway, back to you before we before we get out of here. I guess my next question for you would be the staff, right? The staff at the National Veterans Arts Museum. Now, I've been around them. I've seen a lot of them come, and I've seen a lot of them go. I guess my question for you would be, what do you make of the staff that you have, and do you see yourself branching out and building a bigger staff, or are you set with where they are? Do you see that growing in any way?
I do see it growing. You know, I think the other part that I want to bring to the museum is the concept of growth and sustainability. We want the museum to grow in terms of where we are. You know, we're the National Veterans Art Museum, so we want to be in other cities or have traveling exhibits in other cities so that we have a broader reach. So growth is definitely, and sustainability is something that's going to be front and center for what I do as the new incoming executive director. Our staff is terrific right now. I think we have you know, all the bases covered, so to speak, in terms of what we need to do to put out a great exhibit and connect to the communities. We've got the right people in place right now to be able to do that effectively.
All right.
But growth is always something that I'm looking for.
Great. And my last question before we go to our next caller would be, will you be at this fundraiser on the 7th?
Absolutely.
So great. So the people can come out and meet the man in person.
Come one, come all. Please.
And hang out and ask you some questions themselves.
Indeed.
So I have Lois on the line. How are you?
Hello. Can you tell me about the family drop-in workshop that's on your website? That's this Friday?
It's from 3 to 5 o'clock, and it's just an open call. Anyone can come in at any time. We'll have education programming on hand with our staff. You know, we obviously can offer any tours. There's a whole variety of things that we do in the family drop-off, or the family drop-in, I should say. But it's from 3 to 5.
What kind of education programming exactly?
So one of the things that they do during our family drop-ins is basically our education team is there to kind of create various works of art with our students. So it's more of an arts education where people will come and drop in and kind of create art for the day for those 2 hours. And any other info that you may be looking for specifically, you could always email us at info@nvam.org, and we'll be able to give you a little bit more in detailed answer to the questions you're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, and now, I guess, sir, is on to one of my favorite segments, which is our Take 5. 5 people that you may not have known were veterans. And this month we have an interesting run because I don't think I knew most of these people.
I know I didn't.
So we'll start with one of America's most beloved people, which would be B. Arthur. Right?
Golden Girl.
Best known for her role as Dorothy on the show The Golden Girls, B was also once a truck driver in the Marine Corps. She married a fellow private, Richard Arthur. She stood as one of the first members of the Women's Reserve, and aside from driving military trucks, she was also a typist and a laboratory technician. Despite being a pioneer in terms of female veterans, she kept her military service a secret until she was nearing her death in 2009. Wow. Talk about one you never would have seen coming. All right. This next lady we have here is Sarah Emma Edmonds. During the Civil War, Edmonds enlisted in the 2nd Michigan Infantry on her second try, disguising herself as a man named Franklin Flint Thompson. At first, she served as a field nurse participating in several campaigns under General McClellan, including the First and Second Battle of Bull Run, to name just one of those. She remained in the Army for several years and was successful as a Union spy while impersonating a man. Edmonds' career as Frank Thompson came to an end when she contracted malaria. She abandoned her duty in the military, fearing that if she went to a military hospital, they would discover that she was a female. Edmonds never did return as Frank Thompson. Her fellow soldiers spoke highly of her military service, and even after her disguise was discovered, considered her a good soldier. And for those of you who are wondering, one of the main reasons we are using this top 5 is because Women's Month was in March, and since we were not able to be with you all then, we figured now is as good a time as any to celebrate the women that have served in our military. Just like this young lady that we have here, Dr. Mary Edwards Walker. Dr. Walker volunteered for the Union Army as a civilian nurse, as the Army had no female surgeons. She was awarded a commission as a contract acting assistant surgeon, becoming the first ever female U.S. Army surgeon. She often crossed battle lines to treat the injured civilians and was captured by Confederate troops and arrested as a spy. She was released and went on to supervise orphanages, became a writer and lecturer advocating for women's rights. Walker is the only woman to receive the Medal of Honor and only one of 8 civilians to receive this high honor. Cathay Williams, born in Independence, Missouri, to a free man of color and a woman in slavery, making her legal status also that of a slave. Cathay was the first African-American female to enlist. She served in the United States Army, posing as a man under the name William Cathay. Williams was assigned to the 38th U.S. Infantry and traveled throughout the West with her unit during the Civil War. During her service, she was hospitalized at least 5 times, but no one discovered she was a female. And lastly, Tammy Duckworth. Tammy Duckworth joined the Army Reserve Officers Training Corps as a graduate student at George Washington University in 1990. She became a commissioned officer in the United States Army Reserve in 1992 and chose to fly helicopters because it was one of the few combat jobs open to women. An Iraq War veteran, Duckworth served as a U.S. Army helicopter pilot and suffered severe combat wounds, losing both of her legs and damaging her right arm. She was the first female double amputee from the war. A Democrat, she is the first Asian American woman elected to Congress in Illinois, the first disabled woman to be elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, and the first member of Congress born in Thailand. Wow, now there's a take 5 for you right there. So again, being that the National Veterans Arts Museum is a place where veterans from all conflicts and all walks of life come together to express themselves in an art form, it is great to see how so many women have come about and have gone on to do bigger and better things. So that being said, again, the National Veterans Arts Museum appreciates each and every one of you. You can find out more information about the museum at nvam.org. You can contact us at info@nvam.org for any other major questions. And as always, I will see you all next month. Hopefully, though, I will see you all this Tuesday at Lagunitas Brewing Company for our wonderful fundraiser.
Indeed.
I'll be there. You'll be there.
I'll be there.
Our producer will be there. Peace and blessings. We'll see you all next time.